All right, y'all. Happy Thursday night. Super excited to be going over this topic with you. I think we have a couple of new faces in here. So I'm really thrilled to have y'all here. As far as announcements goes, all assessments have been completed and returned for the week in the First Form app. So main takeaways in there for this week. As we get into summer and we get into summer changes and summer schedules and summer parties and summer boating and summer camping and all the stuff, right? What I want you guys to remember is that we don't want to necessarily reward ourselves with food. Okay. This is like going to shoot yourself in the foot. And I see a lot of people kind of struggling with this is they have like a really great Monday through Friday, right? But then all of a sudden Saturday and Sunday comes along and it's like, oh shit. Right. Or they're like a solid Sunday to Thursday person. And then suddenly like Friday at lunch, we go out to lunch with the coworkers and then we're like a crapshoot until Sunday morning. So what I really want to point out is that it's not just like that weekends can be a weak point. It's more so that so many people are justifying having these really off weekends and off choices because they've had such a good week beforehand. This is where the mindset really needs to start to shift. Okay, so find other ways to reward yourself that are not with food, that are not with the thing that you're trying to do better with, right? That is like the hardest thing to really wrap your head around. But like, I'm not saying you can't ever have ice cream again. I'm not saying you can't treat yourself to the Cheesecake Factory or to a cheeseburger or whatever you want. But what I am saying is planning your week and having such a good week with so much progress, and then turning around and treating yourself by having whatever for 48 hours really just holds you back, and it really screws up your mentality. So instead of, literally rewarding yourself with the foods that you've really managed to work out of your nutrition for a week, how about make your way through a weekend, prove to yourself you can make it through a weekend following a plan, sticking to what you said you would do, and reward yourself with things that are outside of food. Don't make food your reward. Then we become dogs, right? We become puppies, right? We love dogs and puppies, but let's not do that. Okay. Let's have food like normal humans. Instead, let's like reward ourselves when we reach milestones. That makes sense for our goals. Maybe you get yourself a new outfit. Maybe you go get your hair done. Maybe you get a pedicure. Maybe you get a massage. Maybe you get a new pair of workout shoes. Maybe you get a new piece of equipment for your home gym. I'm not sure what this looks like. It could be something extremely small. Maybe you hire a babysitter for an hour so that you can do whatever you want to for an hour. Maybe that means you're going grocery shopping by yourself for an hour. I don't know. Whatever you feel like the treat is for yourself, then treat yourself and reward yourself for something that is not food related, like not treat food related per se. I hope that kind of makes sense, because that is what we really need to start making that mindset shift around. Now, if you really do want to have some sort of like an off meal, trust me, you're going to do that and that's going to be okay. But try having like a trust yourself meal instead, where you're not necessarily tracking and trying to hit a certain number of goals. And if you're not sure what I mean by a trust yourself meal, I have a podcast that I did on that specific topic. I'm not sure which number it is, but it was one of the very first ones, and I don't have that many out. But if you want a copy of that or the link to it, let me know and I can send it to you. It's a whole new way to look at food. It's a whole new way to look at enjoying your favorite foods. It's a whole new way to learn how to trust yourself. So that would be my suggestion. If you really want to have some sort of like freedom away from tracking for a day or a meal, do that instead of playing to hit Dairy Queen and the Cheesecake Factory and the local sports bar and everything else all at once. Okay. That's going to help a lot. Okay. As far as other things go that are announcement wise, my resilience one-on-one coaching is now available again. It went over so well. The first challenge I did this with earlier this year. Really stoked for the people that went through that. They had great results. Some worked on performance goals, some worked on overall health goals, some worked on weight loss goals, some worked on mentality goals. Like, it was really cool to take everybody through their own specific goal choices. And so I've tweaked the plan just a smidge where it lasts 2 weeks longer, which is great news. And then our calls during the week, instead of being 30 minutes per call, are going to be 20 minutes per call. Because what I was finding is with these people, after the first 2 or 3 weeks, we really didn't need that half hour. So those are going to be 20 minutes every single week to do your assessment reviews and any necessary tweaks and education that we need to go over at that point. So that's what that's going to look like. And it's going to be something where like you understand what you're supposed to do and you can follow a plan. This is not going to be a Nikki hold your hand. I will definitely support and cheer you on, but I will also call you on your shit, right? So, oh, sorry, code man. There it is. I totally just did that. Ah, Jenna, thank God it's your kid. He knows how to spell it, I'm sure. Okay, so there we go. I'm sweating now. Anyway. Hey, so with that being said, like I'm going to call you on your stuff when you are not following your plan. I am going to point out when we do an assessment review for you, if you have not been following through on the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, we're going to talk about that, because if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I can't do what I'm supposed to do for you. And you have to have that skin in the game and show up for yourself in order for me to help you most. So you're going to have priority texting with me for anything that you do have issues with, any questions, any concerns. If you're at a grocery store and you're like, what do I get? Or you're on a date and you're looking at a menu and you're like, I don't know what to do here. Text me, right? That's going to be those instances that I'm there for. But aside from that, you guys, it's not going to be where I do a daily accountability check-in with you. It's going to be you holding yourself to the grindstone, but I'm going to be there to whip you into shape every single week. And I'm going to be there to support you at any time that you need it, via text message, and then every week on our call. It's going to be a very dialed in plan to you, to your goals, specifically to what you want to accomplish, addressing the struggles that you've been dealing with. But like I said, a brand new person, you may struggle in this plan because it's going to be a lot of change. If you've been in this for a little bit and you know how to track food and you understand how to follow a plan and you want the extra education and the really dialed in pieces for yourself, this is going to be perfect for you. So check it out. If you have questions on it, let me know. There are limited spots. I don't know if they'll all fill or not, but they will be open from now through July 10th. Okay. So if they happen to fill up before July 10th, then they'll be closed. If they don't all fill up before July 10th, then I close it anyway. So that's what that's going to look like. Okay. So that is the game plan there. Initial consult calls will start the first, the week before the July 4th, and then the week of July 4th. So that's when the initial calls will start. And then week 2 calls, or the 20 minutes calls, that's what we'll be starting the week of July 10th. So check that out. Questions on it, let me know. I am happy to answer questions and see if it's a right fit for you as well. There are new bonus tasks in the 1P trip giveaway entry thing that I'm doing all month long. So we're already halfway through. These bonus points can really help like rack up points if you got started a little late or you missed a couple days. So the newest one is like a sample pack. Okay, so I have samples on my website of all kinds of different supplements. And something that somebody pointed out the other day is like they were really nervous about going on their camping trip or going on their traveling trip and what to take. Well, you guys, this is like the perfect opportunity to grab some samples that are already pre-packaged for you for said trips, and you can try new flavors, right? So maybe you go in and you grab level one bars, protein sticks, and reds and greens or something, right? Well, every single sample order that you make will go towards bonus points for that task. So if you decide to grab a couple of different sample packs, then that can absolutely go through that. Every time you have a new sample pack order, it will be able to be used towards that bonus point. And you'll be setting yourself up for success over a fun travel weekend or whatever you've got going on, which makes life really, really easy for you. So there's that. The St. Louis invite for people that completed the last challenge were sent out earlier this week on 6/13. I know that many of you received that because you registered and you got your hotel room set up and everything already. So that's awesome. If you did complete the last challenge and did not see that email come through and you want to register, reach out to me, let me know, and we can make sure that we get that information to you. That trip is happening in January of 24, which is really not that far away, which is super crazy. And just like, don't worry if you're new here, if that is something you want to earn, you can earn that invite over the next 2 challenges as well. You need to complete 1 full challenge with me this year in order to earn that invite to come. So you can absolutely do that. We have another opportunity coming here super soon. two more last things before we jump into the topic. So corporate wellness, for those of you that are maybe a little bit newer, or maybe you've been thinking a little bit on this, but you're not sure. I do offer corporate wellness plans. The one that has been showing the most interest with people has been improving the mindset and culture in your workplace, because really that is going to develop a better working environment, which is going to produce better results for your job and your mentality surrounding it and the way that you treat each other at work and everything else. And I put together a whole layout for a plan for corporate businesses and how to build positive culture within those work environments. So if you are at a company that you think would benefit from this kind of a plan, or if you know of a company that you think might benefit from this kind of a plan and you know the HR department or have a contact for me to reach out to, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just let me know. But I would really love to dive deeper into that option, because I really think we can help a lot of people on that side of things. So really thrilled about that. And then the last piece is, please keep sharing, you guys, keep sharing podcast episodes, group, the app, YouTube, things that I put out, anything that you think is beneficial, please keep sharing it. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. It's been absolutely awesome to see so many members joining this group. So that's all of those pieces. Now we can get into the topic. Sorry, that took forever. Okay, so as far as tonight's topic, we have the art of saying no thank you and how it can lead to emotional eating. And I'm going to go over some of the tactics and some of the stuff and how I've managed to get past these things and how to maybe handle them a little bit better, to give you guys some good foundations to go off of when you're going into different events throughout the summer, because you're going to run into these kinds of people, you're going to run into these situations. So the first thing I wanted to really just mention is, like, have you ever seen, it's not a meme, but like the quote, and it says, if someone turns down the offer for a drink at a party, don't ask why, simply offer them a non-alcoholic drink. Right? It's so accurate. It is absolutely none of our business why someone is not drinking. Right? That's fine. It's also no one's business why you're not having the brownies, right? It's okay, but it should be treated the same way. And everyone is battling a demon of some sort that we don't know about. So first and foremost, lead by example in this situation. Always. So if someone says no thank you to you, to like anything, then choose to be the supportive person rather than nosy and pushy. Your first response should not be why or why not. It should be, oh, okay, well, here's the veggie tray if you want a snack, right? Like, offer something that makes sense, right? Don't try and be pushy or nosy unless they offer up some extra information for whatever they're going through, right? I can't tell you, like, I haven't had a drink since Christmas Eve, right? I have not had a drink since Christmas Eve. And that's a personal choice, because the last time I had a drink, had some really, really negative and poor thoughts come through my head that were kind of scary. Never going to do it again. I'm done. Right. But people ask, right? Why aren't you having a drink? Because I don't want one. Is that okay with you? Right? Like, that is what it's got to come down to. Do you want me to bring down the vibe of the party and tell you what's going on? I don't think so. How about you just offer me a water or a soda? Like, I'm totally cool with that. So, like, just don't be that nosy person. Be the person that's just supportive and says, oh, okay, well, that sounds great, and offer them something differently. Okay, so lead by example. That's where it's got to start, because your ripple effect of leading by example will help other people lead by example in the same type of situations. Next, when you say no thank you, learn to be okay with that awkward why not, right? Because not everybody's going to think like us. Everybody's going to have that aunt or that grandmother or that friend or that coworker. Well, why not? Well, why won't you do that? Why can't you participate? Well, I don't want to drink alone, right? And those are the things that you start to get on the other receiving end when you say no thank you. Most people are pushy by nature, right? It's not that they're trying to be a pain in your ass. It's just that they're pushy by nature, and they feel awkward themselves if not everyone is participating in the drinks or the ice cream or the cookies or the brownies or the whatever, right? They feel awkward if you're not doing what they're doing. So they feel the need to ask why you're not doing it, because they think that they're doing something wrong because they're doing it. It's all about them. It's completely selfish, but it makes you feel guilty every time. Okay. So get used to being okay with that why not awkward moment. Okay. Then, what's going to happen, right? Because you've all been through it. I know I have too. And they say, well, why not? And it's suddenly like you get this immediate sweat, like, oh boy, I need a tank top, right? Or you feel this pressure, this guilt, this judgment, and a sudden will to go off your game plan. You had so much willpower going into this situation to stay on your game plan, and now you feel all this willpower to go off of it because you just want to fit in with the crowd, right? Don't stray from your plan, because here's the reality. People are only going to focus on you for about a half a second, right? That awkward moment passes in a snap, because humans are so self-absorbed that we care way more about ourselves and way more about what we're doing than what others are doing most of the time, especially the pushy ones. Okay. So they may give you a hard time for a minute, but they're going to forget about it pretty quick and move on, because, well, you're not the one drinking. So clearly you're not going to be the one doing dumb stuff. So you're not going to be the entertaining one at the party anyway. So let them go do the stuff that like I used to do when I was drinking. Right. So let them do that. Okay. Or eating the things or whatever. They will forget about it. And likely within 10 minutes, they're not going to say anything else. It's just like people in the gym. It's just like people in the gym. People feel so awkward going to a public gym because they think they're going to get judged. Let me tell you, everybody in that gym is so self-absorbed. Me too, right? Like, we flex in the gym, right? That's what we do. We go there because we want to feel good about ourselves. We want to do a booty check in the mirror. That's what we do there. It's okay. Everybody in that gym is so self-absorbed. They couldn't give less of a shit about how you're doing things or how you look. Nobody cares. Same thing goes for that dessert table or that drink cooler, right? Nobody actually cares further than that 60 seconds to 5 minutes after. They really don't. Now, learning to follow through on what you said you would do or not do is 100% going to keep that fire in your gut going, right? The second that you can truly follow through just one time with holding up to what you said you wanted to do or not do, you are going to feel an immediate sense of power, of control. You're going to feel like an individual instead of a follower. It is so amazing to be an individual, to be a leader in your own head instead of being a follower and being easy to be manipulated or pushed. It's going to feel amazing. Give yourself the opportunity to feel that power. I know somebody in here this week felt that power at a doctor's office. And I'm super proud of her because I'm looking at her right now, and I won't put you on the spot, but amazing, amazing. She knew what she was talking about, and she stood up for herself in a situation where she could have very much been pushed to do something different, and crazy proud. Same thing goes for that party, for that graduation party, for that wedding, for that night out, for the whatever. Stand up for yourself, follow through with what you want to follow through with. And that's going to give you a huge sense of power. Okay. And then from there, let those feelings push you through. That's going to help give you that motivation and that next push to keep going forward with all the things that you promised yourself that you do. Better yet, you're going to wake up the next morning and not feel like dog shit. So you're probably going to want to get up and go do something productive with your day. How good is that? Right? You can totally make that happen. It's going to keep on following through. If someone does continue to give you a hard time about saying no, like, there's going to be that person, right? We have so many Karens in this group whom I love, but it's always going to be like Aunt Karen, right? It's going to be the Aunt Karen, and she's going to keep on giving you a huge level of crap about the fact that you're not having her dessert bar. Okay, well, here's the deal. More for you then, right? That's usually my response. If somebody's giving me such a hard time about not having something that they love so much, more for you. I don't want it. You get to have my serving too. That's great. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Then, whatever. They usually back off and leave it alone at that point. But everybody wins in that moment. If they keep on pushing it, walk away. Right? Just don't give in, because it's not going to be worth it. You're going to probably walk away wishing you hadn't given in to whatever they're trying to push you to do anyway. So more for you then. No, thank you. Walk away. That's what I do. Now the ties to the emotional eating. So what can happen, Right. And this kind of goes along with the whole learning to say no, thank you. But the ties to emotional eating, it's a coping mechanism. Like so many people understand that it's a coping mechanism, but so many people don't understand what they're coping for. Right. You know, you're emotional, so you turn to food. But what is the emotional trigger that you're truly trying to fight against right now? So you need to dig deeper for what you're coping for in order to learn how to fix it or how to learn how to prepare for it. That way, you know it's coming, right? If you can prepare for it because you know yourself and you know that it's coming, then you can have a hell of a lot better of a chance of standing up to it and winning that battle with yourself. Right. So, like for me, and I'm going to use me for an example a lot in this one. For me, I turn to food most when my relationship is in some sort of turmoil. I have this massive fear that I'm going to be rejected and not loved. Right. And so whenever there's any sort of a disagreement in my past with like the person that I'm dating or my husband or whatever, right? See how far back we can go here. But then I would turn immediately to food because that was my coping mechanism. Like, I'm going to be lonely. Let's just eat everything. That's how I went immediately. So once I started to realize what my true trigger really was, then I could start to work on it. So I truly remember realizing when this was my problem and also when it was no longer an issue. I remember the exact turning point when I realized this is my trigger. This is the piece that makes me do this. And it was when I was at a county fair. It's always county fair. And I was like 6 hours from Rob. We had an argument over the phone. He wasn't there. I couldn't fix it. He's a redhead. He's stubborn. He does not answer the phone when he's angry. And then I turn into Monster Nikki that eats everything at the fair. I found myself blindly standing in the chocolate covered pretzel line because where else would you find me? I love chocolate. I love pretzels. If they had peanut butter and M&Ms at the same place, it would have been just a shit show. Okay. But I found myself standing there in this line and I'm like, what am I doing here? How did I get here? I'm not even trying to fix the problem right now. I'm just trying to eat the problem. That's not going to help anything. Like I had this realization that this is where I need to start improving. So when I realized that my trigger was my emotions with my relationship specifically, it helped me learn to know where I struggle most. And so I could predict where I needed to be and what not to and what to do when those future situations started to occur. So Rob and I next to never argue. We next to never have disagreements. We've been together for 13 years, though. There's been a day or two where there's been some, not fun words. And so what I've learned is when I get in an argument with him or a disagreement of some sort, I stay out of the damn kitchen, right? Take yourself out of the environment that's not going to serve you if you're struggling. So whatever your emotional trigger is, digging deeper to understand what that emotional trigger is, remove yourself from the environment where you're likely to give in. That's step one. Okay. So then it was starting to understand where I could go or what I could do to relieve the stress. How could I solve the problem? So like I said, he's a redhead. He's stubborn. He doesn't really like to talk things through at first. He has to go and be angry about it for a while. Meanwhile, I'm like, let's like sit down and hash this out right now because I want to be best friends again within 5 minutes. And that's who I am. And it's not who he is. So I can't always take the problem head on. I would much rather have that like rip off the Band-Aid conversation. Let's get it over with. Let's make sure that we're still happy and let's move forward. But it's not always the case that can happen. So what I do instead is I sit down, I write it out, I cool off, I drink some cold water, I take some deep breaths. And then I have an honest conversation with myself to fix the disagreement, or how I really want to say my words to make sure that what I say makes sense, that it's not portrayed the wrong way, that it's not, selfish, or it's not like out of anger or anything like that. I make sure that I play that conversation out in my head to make sure that I'm saying it correctly. And I don't have emotional eating in the interim, right? So like I was saying, my biggest fear of being undesirable or rejected has always made me abuse food in those situations. So Rob knows that now. I told him that because he's my best friend. That man knows like way too much about me, which he should, right? But he knows that. So now, no matter how mad he is at me, no matter how bad I effed up that day, right? Because I'm definitely the one that says the things. As mad as he is, after any disagreement we have, he will always say, like, I love you. Right now, I am angry. We're not going anywhere. this relationship is still happening. Do not worry about that, but I need a little time. And in that moment, I'm relieved because I know that while things aren't perfect, nothing's going to be catastrophic either, right? So if your emotional eating has something to do like mine does, talk to your person, right? Have that honest conversation about what makes you trigger. Is there something they can say, even if they're mad at you, that's going to help you not trigger and make it worse? Because that helps me a lot. And so I realized I was like starting to be healed from this when my gut reaction to a disagreement we had last summer, like literally last summer, 2022, you guys. I've been doing this for how long? I finally figured this out. Okay, last summer we had a disagreement and my first reaction, deep breath, chugged a bunch of cold water, and I folded laundry and cleaned the house. Okay. And the reason being for that is the less cluttered space helped me think clearer. And that's what I started to understand. I got out of the kitchen and I stopped eating all the random junk food in there. And instead I did something productive with my time, because when I didn't have to worry about the laundry, I didn't have to worry about the bills laying out, I didn't have to worry about the vacuum or the whatever. I went around and I cleaned up, I tidied up, I organized, I got rid of the garbage. I did whatever I needed to do. My brain could think clearer. I could have a better honest conversation with myself. I could calm myself down and I could move forward. And suddenly I didn't even think about food when I had that kind of situation occur again. So I realized that I had gotten past it. So what I can tell you is, coming from somebody who used to eat like entire sheet cakes of pumpkin bars by myself in a sitting, okay, you can get past this too. So main takeaways for tonight is lead by example, be supportive when someone else says no thank you to you about something. Stick to your plan. The confidence that you build from one time of following through is absolutely life-changing. Dig deeper into what triggers your emotional eating. Make a game plan to prepare yourself for when that trigger occurs, and then have an honest conversation when those you love, with those you love, so that they can support you through it. So those are the main takeaways. And then as far as the code goes, I did have this written at the end before I forgot. It is our dog's name, Kiba, Kiba. So if you are doing the giveaway, the entries and all of that good stuff for the June challenge, Kiba, Kiba is this week's code. So you can enter that and get yourself some points as well. Okay. What questions do you guys have about this, about anything else?
I have a question. Well, not a question, but something I want you to touch on, because I think I've seen it a handful of times. Can you hit on carbs and fats really fast on fuel sources? So like if you go over on carbs but are under on fats, or over on fats but under on carbs, but you're still within like the calories and the proteins, can you just like briefly re-explain that? Because I know there's been a lot of questions in the invest group about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so when it comes down to carbs and fats, they're both different types of energy sources that your body can utilize. In my opinion, unless there's a medical reason for you to not have one or the other, we should be having both, because both have different jobs. Now, with that being said, they are interchangeable as far as calories go, but keep in mind that that fats are worth 9 grams or 9. Wow. Fats are worth 9 calories per gram and carbs are worth 4 calories per gram. So they are interchangeable, but you're not going to be able to switch them out evenly, right? So what I want you to focus on is if one is higher than the other, that's okay. As long as you're still hitting protein check mark and total calorie check mark, your carbs and fats are evening themselves out over here. With that also being said, though, a couple of minimums for you. I really would, for the most part, not want anyone to be under like 100 grams, 90 grams of carbs on any given day at an absolute minimum. Please don't go under that unless you and I have talked and decided on a number lower than that for any reason. And then as far as fats go, please do not go under 40 grams of fat. We need both of those. Actually, like, carbs are our brain's preferred energy source. It doesn't mean you have to go and have ho-hos and M&Ms, right? We can go and have sweet potatoes and rice and veggies and fruits and stuff, okay? But make sure we're taking those in. Fats, absolutely essential for hormone production, for like different types of vitamin and mineral absorption. We need them for overall health, especially for reproductive health. It's imperative. So please, 40 grams of fat at a minimum, like 100 grams of carbs at a minimum. Otherwise, they can even each other out for the most part, unless you and I have talked about a really specific plan for you otherwise. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. If you come up with any questions after this, let me know. Hope you have a wonderful Thursday night, and I will talk to you all probably tomorrow. Bye, everybody.